The Final Fantasy XVI demo blew my mind, and you absolutely need to try it. So I just got done playing the Final Fantasy XVI demo, and I gotta say, it is way more than just a demo. For anyone that's on the fence, you absolutely have to try it out. So essentially what this demo entails is two sections. Now the first section is you actually get to play the entire beginning of the game, the first 2 to 3 hours, and it will save your progress towards the main game. A lot of this is very cutscene heavy, a lot of it is laying out the foundation of the story and the characters. So expect to spend a little time, get immersed, and get a feel for what the world and the story building of this game is going to be like. And I found that very compelling. We get to see these characters turn into something we care about. We get to see the story take a turn by the end of the demo where we absolutely need to see what happens next. It's almost like watching an episode of Game of Thrones where you're on the edge of your seat by the end and you absolutely have to see what happens next. That's how I'm feeling about the full game right now, so absolutely can't wait to see more. Now, just a bit of a warning, that story is, like I said before, very cutscene heavy. It's relying on a lot of setting up characters and certain narrative plot points that are going to assuredly pay off further into the game, but it's absolutely worth the investment. By the time you finish, you do get a pretty good sense of the combat, a nice taste of what's to come, but it's not until the second demo is unlocked that you get an even better sense of just how involved and how deep this combat system really is. And I have to say, I understand that there are a lot of holdouts out there. There are a lot of people that were wishing that turn-based combat would come back to Final Fantasy, and this isn't that. But of all of Square's attempts to actually make an action-based combat system, this one easily takes the cake. My biggest problem with action-based combat systems in Final Fantasies and prior games is not that it's action-based, it's just that it's implemented poorly. It's not very compelling. And they absolutely nailed it here. You have the team from Platinum Games combined with the internal team at Square that was in charge of Kingdom Hearts 4 coming together under the leadership of one of the combat directors from Devil May Cry 5 that they poached from Capcom. Just a super group of talent creating this combat system, and once you dig into the second demo, which unlocks upon beating the first demo, which is the entire prologue of the game, you get to really dig into that combat and just see how deep and how compelling it can be. So, go in open-minded as far as the initial demo is concerned. Expect to sit there for a good amount of time and just really take your time and get invested in the story and the characters, but then look forward to that second demo unlocking as soon as you beat that prologue portion, where you get to really check out the combat in depth. And that combat is super cool. Feels like a cross between almost like a Dark Souls as far as the dodging mechanics and the iframes are concerned, but way faster and way more frenetic. Not quite Devil May Cry, but kind of like a cross between Devil May Cry and maybe like the new God of War games. And the combination of all of those things together feels very fulfilling and very fluid. Even though this might not be the turn-based Final Fantasy game that the true diehard fans want, if you just separate yourself from that nostalgia and think about it as an absolutely amazing, compelling, narrative-driven action game akin to something like a God of War, this is absolutely on that level, and it looks poised to just really deliver something super special.
You are but a branded!
We won't have to wait too long to play the full game, thank God, because that prologue portion, I'm not going to spoil the story. But it makes sense that a lot of people are comparing it to Game of Thrones. It's very dark, it's very real and guttural and in your face, but at the same time it still has those fantasy elements you would still expect from a fantasy-style Final Fantasy game. It's kind of the best of both worlds, and it's definitely a mature story. It's made for adults, not the kiddos, but all signs point to every aspect of this game truly delivering. The presentation is absolutely incredible, the graphics, the sound. It did seem like the performance mode was a little bit stuttery and didn't necessarily stay locked at a consistent 60 frames per second like I would have hoped. I've also heard that this is an older build, I believe 1.1, whereas they're on 1.3 right now with the final game, so I'm pretty sure all of that is actually sorted in the version that we're going to get on disc. It's also kind of a bummer we don't get to control party members, but everything else is so good that complaining about that just feels a little bit nitpicky. And we do get to end up controlling Torgal in a similar fashion to the way Atreus is controlled in God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok games. Torgal's kind of like that. So it's sort of a nice compromise. We don't get full party control, but we do get plenty of party members that join the battles at certain times depending on where you're at in the story. And then we've always got Torgal, who we can issue commands to in some fashion, so it is a nice compromise. And at the end of the day, I think something like this system is what's going to work best for the story that they're trying to tell. And the story in a Final Fantasy game trumps all, and what they're doing with this story is so impressive and so interesting that I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I am super looking forward to the final game when it comes out on the 22nd. I'll probably even play through the demo again because it was that compelling. So make sure you check it out. If you have played the demo, make sure you comment below. Let me know what you thought of it. I'm super interested to hear if you guys have checked it out, and if maybe your thoughts about it might be different than mine, or maybe you agree. So let me know below. Like, subscribe, that way the channel can grow, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.